Alina's stomach growled so loud she thought everyone on the street could hear it. She pressed her hand against her belly, trying to make the ache go away. It didn't work. It never worked. She hadn't eaten in 2 whole days, and her head felt light, like a balloon floating away from her body. The smell hit her nose before she even reached the restaurant door. Fresh bread, fried chicken, something sweet, maybe pie. Her mouth watered so much she had to swallow hard. Through the big glass window, she could see families sitting at tables, laughing and eating. A little boy was biting into a burger so big that ketchup dripped down his chin. His mom wiped it away with a napkin, smiling. Alina looked down at her own clothes. Her jeans had holes in both knees. Her sneakers had tape holding the bottoms together. Her jacket was too big. It used to be her father's. She pulled it tighter around herself, took a deep breath, and pushed open the restaurant door. The bell above the door jingled. Everyone turned to look at her. Her heart pounded in her chest like a drum. Her hands started to shake, but she made them into fists to make them stop. She walked up to the counter where a big man with a red face stood. He wore a white apron covered in sauce stains. "Excuse me, sir," Alina said, her voice quiet but steady. I can work for food. I can wash your dishes or mop your floors or take out the trash. Whatever you need. I'm a hard worker, I promise." The man looked her up and down like she was a piece of garbage on the street. His lip curled up. "Get out of here, kid. This ain't no charity kitchen." "Please, sir, I haven't eaten in—" I said, "Get out." The man's voice boomed across the whole restaurant. Everyone stopped eating. Forks stopped moving. Conversations died. All eyes were on Alina. A woman at a nearby table laughed. A mean, sharp laugh that cut through the air. "Look at her," the woman said to her husband. "Probably trying to steal something." "These homeless kids are everywhere," another man muttered, shaking his head. "Always begging." Alina's cheeks burned hot. She felt tears pushing at the backs of her eyes, but she refused to let them fall. Not here. Not in front of these people. She lifted her chin high, turned around, and walked back toward the door. "And don't come back," the restaurant owner shouted behind her. The bell jingled again as she stepped outside. The cool evening air hit her face. She let out a long, shaky breath. Her stomach still hurt. Her legs felt weak. But she kept walking, her head up, her shoulders back. "I won't cry. I won't let them make me cry." As she walked past the restaurant, memories flooded her mind. She remembered sitting in her father's old garage, the smell of oil and metal in the air. She was 8 years old, holding a wrench almost as big as her arm. "See this here, baby girl," her father had said, pointing to an engine. His hands were always covered in grease, but his smile was always bright. "This is the heart of the car. You treat it right, it'll run forever. You treat it wrong, it'll let you down when you need it most." "Like people?" she'd asked. Her father had laughed, a deep, warm sound that made her feel safe. "Yeah, baby, just like people." But her father was gone now. 2 years gone. Sickness took him when she was 12. After he died, there was no money for rent, no family to take her in, no one who cared. She'd been on the streets ever since, moving from shelter to shelter, sometimes sleeping under bridges or in empty buildings. Alina wiped her eyes with the back of her hand. She missed him so much it felt like a hole in her chest that would never fill up. That's when she heard it. Loud laughter. Men's voices carrying across the parking lot. She looked up. Outside a repair shop next to the restaurant, for men stood around a fancy black car. The hood was open, and one of the men was scratching his head. Another was wiping his hands on a dirty rag. They were all staring at the engine, like it was a puzzle they couldn't solve. "I'm telling you, it's the fuel pump," one man said. Nah, it's the battery." "Gotta be the battery," another argued. The car was beautiful. Shiny black paint, chrome wheels, leather seats she could see through the window. It was the kind of car rich people drove. The kind of car her father would have loved to work on. One of the men wore a fancy gray suit with a red tie. He looked angry, checking his watch every few seconds. "I paid you people to fix cars, not stand around guessing. I have a meeting in an hour." An older man with gray hair and hands stained black with grease shook his head. Sir, we've tried everything. The engine just won't turn over. A younger mechanic with his arms folded across his chest laughed. Maybe we should call a psychic. Ask the car what's wrong with it. They all laughed at that. Even the man in the suit cracked a smile. Alina stopped walking. She stood there, watching them. Her eyes moved to the open hood, to the engine inside. Even from where she stood, she could see something. A belt hanging loose. A wire not connected right. Her father's voice echoed in her head. Most people look but don't see, baby girl. You gotta really see what you're looking at. She saw it. She knew what was wrong. Her stomach growled again, louder this time. She looked back at the restaurant, then at the men, then at the car. An idea, crazy, wild, dangerous, popped into her head. Her heart started racing again, but this time it wasn't from fear. It was from hope. Before she could talk herself out of it, her feet started moving. 1 step, 2 steps, closer to the men, closer to the car. The younger mechanic saw her first. Hey, what's this kid doing? All 4 men turned to look at her. The man in the suit frowned. The mechanics looked confused. Alina's hands shook, but she shoved them in her pockets. She cleared her throat. Her voice came out stronger than she felt. Can I fix it for food? For a moment, nobody said anything. The men just stared at her. Then they burst out laughing. All 4 of them. Loud, mocking laughter that made her face burn hot again. Did she just... The younger mechanic couldn't even finish his sentence. He was laughing so hard. Oh, this is rich, the man in the suit said, slapping his knee. The older mechanic shook his head, grinning. Little girl, we've been working on cars longer than you've been alive. What makes you think you can fix what we can't? Alina's jaw tightened. She pulled her hands out her pockets and looked the older man straight in the eye. Because I can see what you can't, she said. And because I'm really, really hungry. The laughter kept coming, washing over Alina like cold water. But she didn't move. She didn't run away. She just stood there, waiting for them to stop. Finally, the man in the suit wiped tears from his eyes. Oh, that's the funniest thing I've heard all week. A homeless kid thinks she can fix my $50,000 car. Sir, please, Alina said. I'm serious. I can fix it. The younger mechanic smirked and crossed his arms tighter. Yeah? And where'd you learn to fix cars? YouTube. Alina's hands curled into fists again. My father taught me. He was a mechanic. A really good one. Was... The black mechanic asked, his smile fading a little. He died 2 years ago, Alina said quietly. But before that, he taught me everything. How to listen to engines. How to find problems. How to fix things other people give up on. The older mechanic with gray hair tilted his head, studying her. What was your father's name? Alina hesitated. She hadn't said her father's name out loud to anyone in months. It hurt too much, but she needed them to take her seriously. David Carter, she said. His name was David Carter. The older mechanic's eyebrows shot up. He opened his mouth like he wanted to say something, then closed it again. But Alina didn't notice. She was too focused on the car. Look, she said, pointing at the engine. I can see the problem from here. That belt is loose, and that wire, the one going to the ignition, it's not connected right. That's why your car won't start. The man in the suit laughed again, but this time it sounded meaner. Oh, so now you're an expert? You can diagnose a car from 10 feet away. Yes, sir, I can. This is ridiculous, the younger mechanic said. Boss, we should just call another shop. This kid is wasting our time. But the man in the suit was looking at Alina differently now. Not with respect, not yet, but with curiosity. Like she was a strange puzzle he wanted to solve. All right, he said slowly. Let's make this interesting. You think you can fix my car? Yes, sir. Fine. Here's the deal. He stepped closer to her, looking down. He was tall, and Alina had to tilt her head back to meet his eyes. If you fix my car, and I mean really fix it so it starts and runs smooth, I'll buy you any meal you want. Anything on the menu at that restaurant. Alina's stomach did a flip. any meal she wanted. She could almost taste it already. But the man continued, holding up one finger. If you can't fix it, you walk away. No food, no money, nothing. And you never come back here asking for handouts again. Deal? It wasn't fair. Alina knew that. If she failed, she'd be exactly where she started, hungry and alone. But if she succeeded, deal, she said. The younger mechanic laughed and shook his head. This is going to be good. She'll probably make it worse. Give her a wrench, the man in the suit said. The older mechanic pulled a wrench from his tool belt and held out to Alina. When she reached for it, he leaned in close and whispered, "You sure about this, kid?" Alina looked up at him and nodded. "Yes, sir. I'm sure." He placed the wrench in her hand. It was heavy and cold, but it felt right. It felt like home, like holding her father's hand. Alina walked to the front of the car. The four men stepped back, giving her space but watching her like hawks. She could feel their eyes on her, waiting for her to fail. Don't think about them. Think about the car. Think about what Dad taught you. She leaned over the engine, her eyes scanning every part. The men had been right about some things. The battery was fine. The fuel pump was okay. But they'd missed the simple stuff. The obvious stuff. See, baby girl. Her father's voice echoed in her memory. Fancy mechanics sometimes forget the basics. They look for big, complicated problems and miss the little things right in front of their faces. Alina spotted the belt first. It was supposed to be tied around two wheels, but it had slipped off to the side. That's why the alternator wasn't working right. She reached in with both hands, feeling the rough rubber under her fingers, and carefully guided it back into place. It clicked into position with a satisfying snap. "What's she doing?" the younger mechanic whispered. "Sure," the older one said. "Let her work." Next, Alina looked at the ignition wire. Just like she thought. It wasn't pushed all the way into the connector. Someone had probably checked it earlier and hadn't pushed it back in properly. She pressed it firmly until she heard a tiny click. "There," she said softly. "There what?" the man in the suit asked. Alina straightened up and looked at him. "It's fixed. Try starting it now." The man's eyebrows shot up. "That's it? That's all you did?" "Yes, sir. The belt was loose and the ignition wire wasn't connected right. It's fixed now." The younger mechanic snorted. "No way. We've been working on this for an hour." She just wiggled some stuff around. "Only one way to find out," the black mechanic said, pulling the car keys from his pocket and tossing them to the owner. The man in the suit caught them and stared at Alina for a long moment. Then he walked to the driver's side door, opened it, and slid into the leather seat. Alina's heart was pounding so hard she thought it might jump out her chest. Her hands were shaking again. What if she was wrong? What if the car didn't start? She'd be so embarrassed. She'd be hungry for another night. Maybe another week. Please work. Please, please, please work. The man put the key in the ignition. He looked at Alina through the windshield. She held her breath. He turned the key. For one terrible second, nothing happened. Then the engine roared to life. Smooth and strong and perfect. The sound was like music, like a symphony of metal and power. The car purred like a happy cat, running better than it probably had in weeks. Alina let out her breath. Her knees felt weak. The man in the suit sat there, staring at the dashboard in shock. The younger mechanic's mouth hung open. The black mechanic let out a low whistle. The older mechanic started to smile. "I'll be damned," the man in the suit said, turning off the engine and stepping out of the car. She actually did it. The younger mechanic walked over to the engine and looked inside, checking what Alina had done. His face went red. The belt and the wire, it was that simple? Sometimes the simplest problems are the hardest to see, Alina said quietly. It was something her father used to say. The parking lot went quiet. No one was laughing now. They were all staring at her, really looking at her. For the first time, the man in the suit cleared his throat. Well, a deal's a deal. He reached into his pocket and pulled out his wallet, stuffed thick with bills. "What do you want to eat, kid?" Alina's eyes went wide. "Anything. I'm a man of my word. Anything you want." Her mind raced. Fried chicken, mashed potatoes, green beans, cornbread with butter, maybe even pie. Her stomach growled so loud that the black mechanic chuckled. But before she could answer, the older mechanic stepped forward. He was looking at her with an expression she couldn't quite read. Sad, maybe, or surprised, or both. Hold on, he said, his voice gentle. Before anything else, I need to ask you something. Alina looked up at him. Yes, sir? You said your father's name was David Carter. David Carter from Riverside? The mechanic who worked on the old Maple Street? Alina's throat tightened. Yes, sir. That was him. Did you know him? The older mechanic's eyes got shiny, like he might cry. He nodded slowly. Know him, he said softly. Honey, your father was a legend. Alina's breath caught in her throat. A legend? The older mechanic nodded, his eyes never leaving her face. David Carter had hands made of gold. He could fix anything, cars that other mechanics said were dead. He brought them back to life. He never gave up on a machine, and he never gave up on people either. You really knew my dad? Alina's voice cracked. She felt tears pushing at her eyes again, but this time she didn't fight them. I met him at a car show 15 years ago, the older mechanic said. Watched him rebuild an entire engine in 4 hours. 4 hours. Something that should have taken days. Everyone there said it was impossible. But David just smiled and did anyway. After that, his name spread everywhere. People came from 3 towns over just to have him look at their cars. The black mechanic stepped forward. Wait, that David Carter? The one who fixed Mayor Johnson's vintage Mustang back in the day. The same one, the older mechanic confirmed. My dad did that. Alina whispered. Pride swelled in her chest, warm and bright. He worked on that car for 2 months. He let me hand him tools. He taught me the name of every part. The younger mechanic, who had been so mean before, looked down at his feet. I'm sorry. I didn't know. How could you know? Alina said softly, I'm just some homeless kid to you. The word homeless hung in the air like a dark cloud. The man in the suit, who had been quiet, spoke up. What happened? Why are you out here alone? Alina swallowed hard. This was the part she hated talking about, the part that made the hole in her chest feel bigger. My dad got sick when I was 12, she began, her voice shaky. Cancer. He fought it for 8 months, but it was too strong. After he died, we had no money left. The hospital bills took everything. Mom had died when I was a baby, so it was just me and Dad. When he was gone, I had nowhere to go. No family. No one to take me in. Child services? The older mechanic asked gently. I ran. Alina admitted. I was scared they'd split me up, send me far away from everything Dad loved. So I lived on the streets. Been there for 2 years now. The 4 men stood in silence. The younger mechanic wiped his eyes with the back of his hand. Even the man in the suit looked uncomfortable, like he didn't know what to say. 2 years, the black mechanic repeated quietly. You've been alone for 2 years? Alina nodded. The older mechanic put his hand on her shoulder. His grip was firm but gentle, and it reminded her so much of her father that a sob broke free from her chest. She covered her mouth with her hand, trying to hold it in, but more sobs came. It's okay, the older mechanic said. Let out, sweetheart. You've been strong for too long. And she did. Standing there in the parking lot with 4 strangers, Alina cried. She cried for her father. She cried for the 2 years of hunger and cold and fear. She cried for every person who looked at her like she was trash. She cried until there were no more tears left. When she finally stopped, the older mechanic handed her a clean handkerchief from his pocket. She wiped her face and took a deep, shaky breath. Thank you, she whispered. Don't thank me yet, he said with a small smile. We're just getting started. The man in the suit cleared his throat. Right, a deal's a deal. He looked at the older mechanic. Marcus, go into that restaurant and order this young lady the biggest meal they've got. Everything. Fried chicken, mashed potatoes, mac and cheese, greens, cornbread, pie. The works. Put on my card. Marcus, the older mechanic, smiled wide. You got it, Mr. Patterson. As Marcus headed toward the restaurant, the younger mechanic stepped closer to Alina. I'm Jake, he said awkwardly. I'm really sorry for laughing at you. That was wrong. It's okay, Alina said. No, it's not, Jake insisted. I judge you without knowing anything about you. That's not okay. Your dad would be proud of how brave you are. Fresh tears sprang to Alina's eyes, but these were different. These were happy tears. The black mechanic stuck out his hand. I'm Terrell. Your dad was right to teach you. You got real talent, kid. Alina shook his hand. Her grip firm just like her father had taught her. Thank you, Mr. Terrell. Just Terrell is fine. Mr. Patterson, the man in the suit, looked at his watch and then at his car. Well, I've got to get to my meeting. But before I go, he reached into his wallet and pulled out a crisp $100 bill. He held it out to Alina. Take this. Alina's eyes went wide. Sir, I can't. You earned it. You fixed my car when 3 trained mechanics couldn't. That's worth $100 easy. When Alina hesitated, he pushed the bill into her hand. Take it. Buy yourself some new shoes. Get a warm jacket. Whatever you need. Thank you. Alina breathed, staring at the money in her hand. She'd never held a $100 bill before. Mr. Patterson climbed into his car, started the engine, which purred perfectly, and gave her a nod before driving away. Marcus came back carrying 2 huge bags of food. The smell hit Alina immediately, and her stomach practically screamed with joy. Let's eat inside the shop where it's warm, Marcus said, leading the way. The repair shop was cozy and cluttered with tools, car parts, and old coffee cups. Marcus cleared off a workbench and set down the bags. He pulled out containers, fried chicken, golden and crispy, mashed potatoes swimming in gravy, bright green collard greens, mac and cheese that looked creamy and perfect, thick slices of cornbread, and a huge piece of apple pie. Alina just stared at it all. This is too much. Nothing's too much for David Carter's daughter, Marcus said warmly. Eat up, honey. You've earned it. Alina sat down on a rolling stool and picked up a piece of chicken. It was still hot. She bit into it, and the flavor exploded in her mouth. Crispy, salty, juicy, perfect. She closed her eyes, and for a moment, just for a moment, everything felt okay. The 3 mechanics watched her eat, smiling. They didn't make her feel weird or embarrassed. They just let her enjoy her meal. After a few minutes, Jake spoke up. So, Lena, that's your name, right? She nodded, her mouth full of mashed potatoes. We were talking while Marcus was getting her food. Jake continued. And we have an idea. If you want, that is, no pressure. Alina swallowed. What kind of idea? Marcus leaned against the workbench. How would you like to work here? With us. Alina's fork stopped halfway to her mouth. Work here? Like a real job. A real job, Tara confirmed. You've clearly got your father's gift. It'd be a shame to waste it. We can teach you more, help you get even better. And you'd make money, enough to get off the streets, find a place to stay. We've got a small apartment above the shop, Marcus added. It's not fancy, just a bedroom, bathroom, and kitchenette, but it's empty right now. You could stay there, free. In exchange, you work here, learn, help us with repairs. Alina set down her fork. She looked at each of their faces, searching for the joke, for the trick, but all she saw was kindness. Real, genuine kindness. You'd really do that? For me? Your father would have done it for any kid in need, Marcus said softly. It's the least we can do for his daughter. The tears came back, rolling down Alina's cheeks and dripping onto her food. But she was smiling, really smiling, for the first time in 2 years. Yes, she said, her voice strong despite the tears. Yes, I want that. I want to work. I want to learn. I want to make my dad proud. He already is proud, Marcus said, his own eyes shiny with tears. Wherever he is, I promise you, he's watching you and he's proud. Jake grabbed a soda from a mini fridge and held it up to Alina, the best new mechanic this shop has ever seen. Terrell and Marcus grabbed their own drinks and raised them high. To Alina, they said together. Alina laughed through her tears and raised her own soda. They all clinked their cans together. As Alina ate her meal, the best meal she'd had in 2 years, she felt something she hadn't felt since her father died. She felt hope. She felt safe. She felt like maybe, just maybe, everything was going to be okay. Later that evening, after Alina had eaten until she couldn't eat anymore and Marcus had shown her the small apartment upstairs, she stood in the doorway looking around. There was a bed with clean sheets, a bathroom with hot water, a kitchen with a refrigerator that hummed softly. It wasn't much, but to Alina, it was a palace. Marcus stood behind her, his toolbox in hand. You get settled in tonight. Tomorrow, we'll start teaching you the real advanced stuff. Your dad gave you a strong foundation. We'll build on it. Thank you, Alina said, turning to face him, for everything, for believing in me. Marcus smiled, and in that smile, Alina saw her father, saw his kindness, saw his love for fixing broken things, whether they were cars or people. Get some rest, kid. Big day tomorrow. As Marcus turned to leave, he paused at the top of the stairs. He looked up at the ceiling, as if he could see through it to the sky beyond. David, he whispered so quietly that Alina almost didn't hear him. You'd be proud. Your little girl's going to be just fine. Alina closed the door and walked to the window. She looked out at the street below, at the restaurant where she'd been turned away, at the world that had been so cruel to her. But tonight, for the first time in a long time, the world didn't seem so cruel anymore. She touched the window with her fingertips and whispered into the darkness, I did it, Dad. I fixed the car, just like you taught me. And I'm going to keep fixing things. I'm going to make you proud every single day. Outside, a gentle breeze rustled the leaves on the trees. And somewhere, somehow, Alina felt her father smiling. If this story touched your heart, hit that like button and subscribe for more inspiring stories about never giving up, no matter how hard life gets. Share this with someone who needs to hear that their skills and gifts matter, no matter what anyone says. Drop a comment below telling us about someone who believed in you when no one else did. Let's spread some hope together.